Hey there guys, it's the end of the day, another gorgeous spring day, and what I have here is an 88 Jaguar XJS. Now these are really neat looking cars. Now the famous Jag, and my favorite Jag, would be like an E-Type, and this would be the car that the E-Type evolved into. But I don't think it carries quite as much of the prestige. A lot of people don't really like these cars. They can be hard to maintain. Probably the quote on these cars is, if it's not leaking oil, you're out of oil. And that's why we have this here today. There at V12. This thing's leaking a lot of oil. And unfortunately it needs valve cover gaskets, and we'll take a look inside and we'll look in the motor and I'll show you what kind of job that is. Let's go inside. Nice convertible on this car. Looks like it's been replaced sometime in its life. It says about 120 something thousand. These old tops didn't really put up with that for very long. Well, there's the inside. Automatic. I think most of these were auto. I don't believe there was very many manual XJSs brought. This actually has a General Motors transmission in it. Let's get right inside of here and take a good look. There's the gauges. I kind of like the rotary fuel and temp and battery charge gauges. I think that's kind of neat. 126K on it. Apologize for the sun. There's the interior is in really nice shape. The interior holds up really nice in these. They use the European stitching that we're seeing a lot in American cars nowadays. Yep. So he's got an aftermarket radio. I don't blame him. It actually doesn't look out of place. Sometimes people put aftermarket radios in a car like this and it just looks so out of place. All the goofy light controls. It took me a little while to figure out how to use some of the accessories in this car. And we'll take a look at the back. A little bit of room for maybe a set of golf clubs without the pom-poms. Let's take a look under the hood. Look at that. Now in there, somewhere down in there, way down, get that out of the way, way down under here, there's a valve cover gasket, same on the other side, but all of this has to come off to get to them. And it's all old, weathered rubber hoses and plastic vacuum solenoid fittings and all that. But I'm not really afraid. I'm not afraid. One thing I like about these, this whole setup here, this is the throttle. Ring, ring. Isn't that wild? Holding so many linkages. This side, that side, linkage stuff. Oh, and she leaks oil out of everything. Leaks coolant out of this. It doesn't leak power steering fluid, which is in there somewhere. So it's probably out of power steering fluid. But it's not above our abilities. We'll make this thing whole again. We'll keep this on the road. So guys, until next time, keep it out of the cabbage. Hey guys, here's another episode of Amesie's Corner. And today, we're going to go through this Jaguar we showed you the other week, a couple weeks ago. We got all its parts, and the customer brought it back to have the valve cover gaskets done. And I have to take all of this apart to get these two big there and the big intake over there off. And all this other stuff around it has to come out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it apart, and we'll do probably a 3-part video. This one here just showing you what it looks like before I take it apart, and the next time you see it we should be able to see the cams, the valve springs, the upper valve train, and hopefully we don't run into very many surprises. We don't know. There's been a lot of other people working on this thing over the years, so we don't know if it's we're gonna have to deal with other fixes or parts that are wired wrong or something, but we'll take care of it. Over here are the parts we're putting in. We got a couple of valve cover gaskets over here, and we got the intake gaskets because we've got to reseal those when we're done. Let's take a look over here. This is probably the easier side. I'm going to start over here first because it looks like there's a few less lines, a few less modules. Looks like the AC runs over there. That's all big air conditioner line. The air conditioner doesn't actually work in this car. I have reason to believe it leaks. Yeah, that's not supposed to hiss when you take that off. I think that's just air in the system heated up by the motor escaping. So that's one less thing I have to deal with. Alright guys, until a couple of hours, let's see if I can keep this old big girl out of the cabbage. Well guys, here we are. This is the second installment of Amesie's Corner on this upper gasketing job on this 88 Jaguar XJS. Well, if you can see the clock, it was about a little after noon time when I started. I had to get off a couple times to do a few small things, help the other tech here lift some stuff. But I've got this pretty broken down. There are really no surprises. There was only one surprise, and I'll show you guys in a second. Nothing we can't handle. Yeah, and there's the gasket right there. That was the culprit. It's all brittle, and let me get a chunk off of here. You can see chunks just fall off. I'm going to keep that out of the motor. Normally I would keep these all covered, but I wanted to show you guys what's going on. So there's one side. And go over here. You can see all the intake that I had to take off. I actually had to take these apart together. Normally we would take the fuel rail off and separate each side and all that, but the problem is the plastic on this engine is really brittle. And all these fuel injectors, I was afraid we'd have some break when we were trying to pull them out, or maybe a seal we can't get. So I opted to work a little harder to try to make it easier in the long run to get these all out. And it was a little harder getting at the hardware, a little harder to reach stuff without taking it all. But sometimes you do what's a little harder just to get it done. And we got some more parts over here for it, my tools that I had used. And here's the other side. You can see there's only one cam per side. Not a lot of cam action going on. You can see the HLAs underneath, the lash adjusters. You know, the springs would be under those. And we can see the intake. You can see down. Well, can't see nothing. And then, got a big distributor in the middle. I opted to leave as much of this together. The least you take apart on a car like this, the better off you are. One thing can break and you're waiting for who knows how long to find it and all that. And parts for this car aren't always easy to get the right stuff. Now here we have one of the intake gaskets, and as you can see, that's just one little gasket. And the gaskets that we got for this car from our suppliers are all connected. That's not a big deal, because as you can see, they're pretty much the same. So I'm just going to cut each one out. So it's nothing big. So for the rest of today, I'm probably going to spend the rest of the day just cleaning all this residual oil down under here, so if it leaks again, we'll know where it's coming from. I got to clean all these gasket surfaces all around here and all down and where the intake were. Normally on a 4-cylinder, this is kind of a quick job, but this being a V12, there's 12 of everything. So this will be, we'll button this up tomorrow. Probably have it done tomorrow. We'll get another video of it running and back together. Well guys, so until next time, keep it out of the cabbage. Alright guys, welcome to another short edition of Amesie's Corner. And we got this Jaguar all finished up, got it all back together. And there it is, looking a lot like it did when we first took a look at it. And we had some lines had to be replaced. We had some PCV lines here that were all rotten out. Some other stuff. We have a little issue with the fuel line here. This doesn't want to seem to seat, so I got to take a little extra time to that. But it was a lot of vacuum lines not hooked up right. A lot of stuff, a lot of prior repairs that were done around taking the intakes off. And I was able to recorrect and take care of those the right way. I've already started it and taken it for a drive, and it is a lot faster, a lot better running than it was when we started. Well, letting it cool down after a hot soak. Let's see if she starts back up. Look at that. Like it's never been shut off. Well guys, see how she revs. I can tell you it wouldn't come up to RPMs that quick at all before. Now we got that brake light on. Oh, maybe have the parking brake on. That's alright. Well guys, I'll be having another video in a little while. We got a nice little 80s, 70s, 80s muscle car out front. I think I'm going to go take a video of that in a little bit. So, until then guys, keep it out of the cabbage.